Welcome to another moTV. I am so excited about our guest today. As you know, we always have interesting people every single month right here in the moTV private studios. And this month, no exception, Fabienne Fredrickson. Her passion and her ability to help be a catalyst for self-employed women and men is just amazing. She helps people make the greatest impact they can while being handsomely rewarded for it. For the past 20 plus years, she has been and continues to be a business mentor for tens of thousands of business owners as founder of Boldheart.com. We're going to find out more about that in a minute. She's the author of Embrace Your Magnificence, Get Out of Your Own Way, and she's written Live a Richer, Fuller, More Abundant Life, as well as The Leveraged Business. And that's what we're probably going to be talking about most today. How overwhelmed six-figure business owners reach seven figures and gain their life back. And this is, I think, something she knows about personally. So in this episode of moTV, we are going to dig into Fabienne's own backstory of growth and leverage to find out how she did it and how she can help you do it as well. Get ready. It's going to be a good one. Fabienne, welcome to moTV.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
And so we shifted the date or the time of this moTV. Usually we have it at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but now we're doing it at 11 o'clock. Why? Because you are in Paris, 6 hours ahead of me right here. And I still think technology is so cool that we could even do this in the first place. So this is
I
amazing.
love it.
Yeah. How long, when did we meet? 15, 20 years ago?
I think it's probably 15, 17 years ago, and I've never forgotten you. You were always amazing.
Oh, man. Well, clearly I have never forgotten you either because you are always amazing. I've watched the growth of your business. You have just done so amazingly well in everything. I've seen you build your, like, right from the very beginning. And now you've got, what, thousands of members and coachees and people that you help, and you help them get to the next level. Yes?
Yes, and that's what I'm happy to share some of the secrets to doing that. There's no secret; it's a formula, and I hope it's of value to others listening today.
Well, so let's just talk a little bit about the formula and how you discovered it. Like, let me hear your, like, what we do at Mo Mondays is we really focus a lot on story, the story, because
Mhm.
I think that story is the basis of everything. So tell me the story of how you discovered the formula.
Well, it's a two-part story, Michelle. The first one is the dark night of the soul when I was in corporate, knowing that I was not born to clock in and clock out of a soul-sucking existence and that I needed to get out. And I eventually got out and started my own nutrition practice out of my tiny apartment in Midtown Manhattan, and I didn't get clients fast enough, and more dark nights of the soul, and I realized that I was unemployable even after just a few months of being self-employed. So I was between a rock and a hard place in the sense
Wait a
that
minute.
I
Why were
couldn't.
you unemployable?
I just realized that I am somebody who seeks freedom
Hmm.
and impact. And I wanted to create a life that I wanted based on my own terms. I wanted my business to be on my own terms. I wanted my money to be on my own terms and my time to be on my own terms. And having somebody breathe down my neck with quotas and telling me where to be and what to do uh, to for my livelihood just didn't fit anymore. Now that I'd tasted self-employment, so I couldn't go back to corporate. but I wasn't making enough money. And what it took, I mean, really, the essence of my backstory is courage and digging deep and becoming resourceful and believing that there was a better way. So, because I couldn't go back to corporate, I had to find a way to get clients. And this is where I got into my masculine energy, and I hustled, and I did whatever I could to create a little client attraction system for myself. And with all
And
the
that
things
that
that
was
worked.
actually your first brand, was client attraction, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, after I left the nutrition business, in which I lasted only about a year, because I created the client attraction system for myself and filled my nutrition practice in 8 months, people around me started asking, "What are you doing? What did you do? How did you go from not enough money to a full practice at all times?" And so I started speaking about, simply because people were asking. I had no intention of becoming a business coach. I started sharing my client attraction system with people, and that's when I believe that we met. And in the ensuing years, I became well known in the coaching industry for this client attraction system, my client attraction boot camps, my client attraction products, and coaching. And I was always at full practice capacity, just using the tools of client attraction. I would just keep raising my rates, and I was still at full practice, et cetera, et cetera. I was making about 10K a month, so 6 figures. There got to be a point where I was completely overwhelmed. There was no more time, no more of me to go around. And I had the mindset that, as many people do, if there's no more of me to go around and no more time, how will I make more money? I didn't have any concept of the theory of leverage as it applies to being self-employed. So I was stuck at 10K a month, and my wonderful husband, who has always supported me. I would always call him. Ever since we were dating, I would call him and say, "Hi, honey, I'm bringing home the tofu," meaning like I got a new client today. And this one time, my enthusiasm about the new client was met with silence. And he said, "Congratulations, and I love you, but no more clients. Like, we never see you." We had our 18-year-old was then a 1-year-old. And I was working on evenings and weekends. If we went on vacation, I was on my laptop. And I had created another job, but I was paying myself less than I probably would have accepted to be paid for all those hours. And I couldn't grow. And it's not until I decided to look around, how can I scale my business and still enjoy my quality of life? Can you leverage your business? Can you create a self-managing business that makes you much more money, multiple 6 figures, eventually 7 figures, and in my case, multiple 7 figures? Could you do this while not working on evenings, not working on weekends, taking 14 to 16 weeks of vacation? Can you do this, expand your impact in the world, um, and just, can you do it? And the answer is, I figured out how. And ever since I did it for myself, I went from 125 to 250 to 380 a year, to, in 2008, I hope it's okay to share numbers. I think it's most people don't share numbers.
Yeah, no, I think it's
And
refreshing. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And then in 2000, at the end of 2007, I made a commitment to myself. I said, I would like to see what I'm made of. I wonder if next year in 2008, I can triple my income to be over 1 million as a business coach. And I went through a process, happy to share it with you in a moment if you'd like, just figuring out, like, what would it take? What would I need to do? what would be the team involved? And once I mapped it out and saw that I could do it and it was possible just on a simple Excel spreadsheet, I flew in December of 2007. I flew in my two virtual assistants, my online business managers, one from California, one from Ohio. And we spent 2 days at the dining room of my home at the time, mapping it all out. And we mapped out, little did we know that 2008 would be such an interesting, to use a euphemism, interesting year where people were getting laid off by the tens of thousands and the economy just went south. That is the year that in 9 months, using the principles in the leveraged business book, um, I got to a million 15,000 to be exact, all in that year, um, not future sales, like in that year. And what I realized is, especially for women, but it's for men too, to have the ability to make, let's say, twice as much working half the time is incredibly gratifying. It's incredibly validating. It gives you a voice in your life. It gives you choice where perhaps you haven't had it before, and it's an incredible example, especially to the little people in your life who think it's absolutely normal that you have hundreds, if not thousands, of clients a year, and that you're positively changing your little corner of the world while having a really nice quality of life.
Yeah, what is absolutely clear to me is just how driven you are to help other people find their voice. And their
Mm-hmm.
business is really just is I shouldn't say just. Their business is an expression. It's an amplifier. It's a loudspeaker for their voice. So it allows them to have bigger impact. And it's what we all want as human beings. We want to be significant. We want to have an impact, a positive impact. And when we find something, it's not unlike going to see a great movie. Hey, you want everybody to see the great movie because you want to share it. But in this case, it's something that's life changing. So good on you for finding that. And it sounds to me like, in a way, you did the same thing with leveraged as you did with client attraction. In other words, you worked out all the kinks for yourself, you codified it, you put it in a book, and then you taught other people. Yes?
It's actually, the answer is yes, but I have been teaching and building this leverage process for close to 10 years. So this is actually market tested with, and you'll see every at the end of every chapter, there's a story of another woman that we took and a man that we took to a million in their business. So I actually um, worked every, like, sliced and diced every nuance, every subtlety, every best practice on real live human beings with real live businesses, helping them multiply to multiple six figures and then seven figures. And then I wrote the book. So it's not surprising that people are that I just got a text from somebody yesterday, Sunday, who said, "Your book is amazing," and it's just because it's real practice, real best practices. These things work. I didn't include anything that didn't work.
So
So here's a subtlety, and I'll share it with you, and I hope it helps our listeners. Is a lot of times people will walk their talk, and I don't believe in doing that. I believe that one of the reasons I've been successful is I talk my walk. I walk it first. Same thing that happened with client attraction, same thing that happened with my nutrition business. I only taught the things that worked 100% of the time. And that's why people get really good results. But you have people reading books. I'm not judging, I'm just observing. You have people reading books or getting taught something, and they're teaching something they're not doing and that hasn't been vetted by thousands of people. So that's why they're not seeing as much traction as if they were talking their walk.
I get it. I get it. Um, I think at this point, people are thinking, whether they're watching this live or they're watching the recorded, they're saying, okay, Where can I get this book? So, where can people get the book?
I believe you can actually get a free copy. I hope I'm giving you the right website, but it's called, the website is theleveragedbusinessbook.com. Theleveragedbusinessbook.com. And the reason I'm giving it away for free is, one, I believe this should be, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I do really well. I've done very to have somebody understand the mindset shifts that are available to them that would require, that would ease creating change. Once you have the mindset, you can take the action. It's not the other way around. And it's a way to start a conversation. If somebody likes what they read in the book, they take the assessment, they experience the free video series, they come to some free events with me, and perhaps down the line, if it speaks to them, we'll work together. But it's also okay to just pass the good stuff forward.
You know, Fabienne, already in this, we've been talking for 15 minutes and you've mentioned the word story, I think 3 times. You talk about how at every chapter there's a story. There's a story in the book about somebody that you've helped take past a million. Your own backstory. You told it in such a natural, conversational, but very impactful storytelling way as well. You are clearly a great storyteller. And at moTV, that's what we're all about. How much do you think your own story helps other people see what you do and learn from you?
I believe that people want to be inspired. I believe that everybody wants a transformation on this planet. You suggested that people want to be significant, and I agree with you 100%. They want to use their life, and they know that sometimes they require a transformation. And hearing somebody else's before and after story is incredibly inspirational, not just motivational, but where somebody can say, oh, that was me.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. That is me now and her before. And you mean she took these steps and then this is her after? There is this feeling of going from hopelessness to hopefulness. I always go back to the word inspiration, but sometimes I believe that the divine inspiration can come from just hearing somebody's own journey. And then you begin to feel, wow, if they can do it, perhaps I can do it too if I follow the same process.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe story is much more important than a set of bullet points. We connect to story.
So on that point, I'd love to show a little clip. It's a 1 minute clip of you sharing a story, and I think this. Somebody's sending love on the live stream. I don't know who it is, but you know what? Please let me know in the chat because I see the comments. Please let me know if the audio is good and what you're enjoying about this. And if you've got a question for Fabienne, you might as well put it in the chat. Now, for members of the Mo Mondays community, we're going to be doing a backstage private conversation with Fabienne in a few minutes, and but so stay tuned for that. But let me get to this video because I love this video. Like I said, it's a 1 minute clip. I need to find it because here we go. There we go.
Shit. And finally, I remember exactly where it was. It was Derek, Barry, Blue. They sat me down on my porch in Stamford, and they had an intervention. And I'm crying, and I'm saying no, and there's snot coming out of my nose. It won't work. Nobody in their right mind would work for me if they have their own business. They're all going to be out there taking my clients. And they did not let up. It was like an, alcoholics intervention. It took hours. And I'm like, fine. Okay, I'll break my rule. But if this does not work, I made the decision. I'm wiping my tears. 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I can think of 2 people right now.
I love that little clip, and I love it for so many reasons. Because I know you're laughing.
I'm like, oh, did I say snot out my nose?
And that's why I love this clip. Is because you talk about people being inspired and seeing the before and after, and that is true in with every little interaction, every little lesson, every little insight. There's a before and after. There's always a turning point. And the turning point, most people leave out the most vulnerable part of the story. And the most vulnerable part, it doesn't necessarily show you in the best light. Like when you're describing, you're describing the snot coming. That's why I wanted to show this clip. But it also shows you as being a real human being. And it provides the credibility for what you have to offer after. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And, I think the thing that people have always said to me is I choose to work with Fabienne because of her authenticity, because she's the real deal, because she's going to tell us exactly how she fell down and scraped her knee and how she got back up. And that vulnerability, that authenticity makes people feel safe. There are too many people standing on a pedestal, looking down their nose and saying, yes, you need to be like me, but they're forgetting 75% of the story. And so there's too much of a chasm between where someone is in their struggle, where they want to be if they admire you, and there's no ladder. And all these vulnerable moments of like, oh my God, I totally remember. I mean, I'll never forget that moment on my porch. Just like was so annoyed at my husband and these 2 people who loved me so much and saw me getting in my own way. I'll never forget even what chair I was sitting in. And then, yeah. And that's people can hang on to that, and they can say, if she can do it, snotty noses and all, if she can do it, and she's got 3 kids, and if she, I remember when I first started coaching, we lived in New York and we didn't have enough bedrooms, so I would take my coaching calls into the bathroom. And if anybody knew that I was coaching them how to make, $10K a month, and I was sitting on the closed toilet, right? Let's be honest. It's those are the moments that make people think, you know what, I can do it too. You're real. You're making me feel not bad about who I am, and you're giving me hope.
Well, at the end, that's what we do. We give people hope. And if we can help give them enough hope to get to the next step and show them what that step is, we've done our job. That's how I feel about the work that I do as well. Now, somebody is saying I don't know if you could see, I posted the chat, Gord Melville from Waterloo. He's mo-host of Mo Mondays Waterloo, which is a great event, which I think you know about, but that's besides the point. He says, "Hi, Fabienne, love following you. You rock. You inspire me greatly." And I'm sure he's happy that you said you work with men and women. Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Gordon. I love your message. It makes me feel great. And I think over the years, attracted about 95% women, just because when women look up the ladder of who do I want to learn from, they look for a woman, and there aren't that many highly successful women who are willing to share from a place of vulnerability and love, share the exactly how to. There are a lot of women who are acting very, very masculine, but any man who isn't afraid of being learning from a strong woman with a big heart and being surrounded with ambitious, fantastic women, they're all welcome in our
Well,
community.
so here's what I've discovered, Fabienne. I also in Mo Mondays we also attract more women than men. Not 95%. It's closer to 65 or 60%. But
Mhm.
I think there is something
There is something.
that keeps men from being as open to the coaching and the mentoring that I think we all need. And
Mm.
women are more open to it these days. I don't know. I don't know if it's genetic or it's cultural or if it's forever. But that's what I've discovered.
May I share my insight with you about that?
You certainly may. I'm curious.
Mhm. Mhm. So I have been studying feminine energy for several years now. I stand for women making their own money and lots of it, so that they can gain back their voice and their choice. And in my studies of how we are different, I'm not talking necessarily about gender. I'm talking about energy. So you have masculine energy and you have feminine energy. It can be equated to the yin and the yang. The masculine energy or yang is a solo energy. It is dig deep, find exactly how, and go. It is an energy of action, transaction, sometimes competition, accumulation. Uh, Nothing wrong with that. uh, Flip the coin. The energy of the feminine or the yin is an energy of being, of attraction, of collaboration, compassion, and working with others towards a common goal. And when a woman goes into a heavily masculine and coaching environment, there's a lot of hustle energy, which is good, right? Because we can step into our masculine to do the hustle and then come back and be in the being. But at heart, creative people, so men too, who are compassionate and kind and who are collaborative people. And so I've worked with all, if you think of any high visibility business coach in the world that's a male, I have learned from them. And listen, I love the masculine. I am married to an incredible guy. I'm having a conversation with an incredible guy. I'm raising two incredible boys. And there is, everything is wonderful uh, until it is out of balance. So I've learned from everybody. And what I realized is I also like to have a soft place to land. I like to collaborate. I like having friendship and, dare I say it, love in my groups. In fact, if you go to boldheart.com, it's probably / programs, or just go to boldheart.com and go to the programs tab. You will see that middle of the page, the programs page, there's a mini documentary that was made, 9 minutes, that was made about Boldheart. And basically, I reached out to these filmmakers in California and I said, I'm having a hard time describing the culture of Boldheart. Will you please come and spend a week with me, 5 days, morning to night, filming what it's like in our meetings? Now we do everything virtually, but back then, a year and a half ago, it was in person. And then write the movie about that, because I don't know how to describe the magic. And so she described it, she said, oh, it's all about this loving community of people who will do anything for each other, extreme generosity, helping each other, becoming a family. In fact, it's a home. And I believe that men want this too, but I'll just I'll just say what I really want to say. Society has made it not okay for men to be feeling human beings, loving people who actually love to be in community with other people, striving towards a greater goal. So we have that community. So we'll give you the strategy, the exactly how to, all the next steps. But if you don't want to do it alone and you want to make friends on the entrepreneurial journey, like, you do not have to be alone thinking something's wrong with you because it's not working on your own. No, you can be in community with other people, in collaboration, have them be your board of directors, but also your friends, to celebrate, like, I just had my first 100K month or 10K month, and nobody's looking at you funny. Like, who the hell does he think he is? Or why does she have to be like that? But more like, yeah, that is awesome. We believed in you. And also a soft place to land when you're having a day of like, I cannot believe that the whole world seems to be against me. Why is that team member leaving and taking a client with them? Why am I not filling my event? How can I raise my rates without clients leaving? When you can have a soft place to land and have people say, yep, I get it. I've been there too. All right. But they don't let the pity party last more than 24 hours and say, dust yourself off and try again. That is when people, when they get the strategy, they get the loving community, they get the daily accountability that has them, it's like that structure for your nature. So you get things done. Even though you have a personality that says, I love to start new things, but I'm not wired to necessarily always finish them. When you have all three of those things, people don't want to leave. And so the masculine energy appreciates that, but it has been socialized to think, well, I'm not going to learn from a woman, and I'm certainly not going to be surrounded by other women. Unfortunately, that's where it is in some places. But Michelle, I believe that the pendulum is shifting. I believe that while women are re-empowering themselves to not buy the lies that have been going on for 5,000 years about their second-class citizenness, okay, I just made up a word, in the same way, men are becoming aware that they don't have to be um, the persona that has been especially portrayed in the news over the last couple of years or more, where you have to be a total jerk who takes advantage of people in whatever industry you want to look at to advance yourself in life. You can be a loving, supportive, creative, advancing, ambitious man without tearing people down around you.
Yeah, and certainly in the Momondays community, that's what we're seeing as well, and that's why we
I'm
attract.
not surprised.
You know, it's about human stories. It's about learning from each other. It's about building a community. It's very a feeling community, and but it's also about learning the lessons that we need to learn. We want to learn to get ahead, not necessarily financially, but get ahead in anything we want to do. How do we
Yeah.
improve our lives? So yeah, I see that. How many people do you have in your membership now?
It's several hundred between all the different tracks.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it is it doesn't feel overwhelming because there's this feeling of intimacy, that it's like people would say, like, oh my God, you have how many people in that meeting? But it doesn't work that way. It's such a, people feel like they're home with it when they're with each other. In fact, we're creating Boldheart vacations, because people want to be with each other. So you can have the benefit of having several dozen people in your program, or several hundred people, in a Zoom, but because of intimate breakout rooms, because you have your daily accountability buddy in there, because you have your 6 to 8 people mastermind pod, you have true friendships in there. You are not in a group and you are not feeling lost. It is truly, and just like never more than a foot and a half away from me, so we can see each other in we can see into each other's eyes.
That's one of the things about this whole pandemic. That's in some ways it's brought us closer together. It's isolated us in other ways, and it's been hard. But it's also, I mean, I miss the live events. I really do. But we're gonna get
Yeah.
back to it, and I know Gord in Waterloo is also gonna get back. He's also missing the live events that we do. What I'd like to do, Fabienne, is go back to the that story that you told about the snot coming out of your nose,
Yes.
because that was a crucial. It describes a crucial lesson that you learned in building your business. So talk to me about that.
Okay, so here's what I've learned. In fact, I just coached somebody today around that who is going from multiple 6 figures to 7 figures, a man actually. And I said, the reason you're having a breakdown with your team and with your big goals is that you have several expectations. And one of your expectations is that you believe that business growth happens like this, just one smooth upward trajectory. And he said, yes. I said, you're setting yourself up for suffering. The way that business growth actually works, Michelle, is you go up a bit and then you plateau. And you cannot move up to the next level without a breakthrough in your mindset. This is why the leveraged business is all mindset shifts. Mindset shifts around leveraging your team, mindset shifts around leveraging your systems, business model, time, etc. So it actually goes like up that you're going to have you're going to be status quo, stagnant for a while, and then there's either going to be a breakdown, which will require you to shift how you think, shift what you believe, shift your actions, shift your self-image, how you see yourself to be in the world. And then upon that breakdown, if you do the work, right? And this is why it's good to be in community, because you can't give yourself a good haircut. You transform when being witnessed by others, right? No, you're not giving yourself a haircut anytime soon, Michelle, but it's in the breakdown and in the community that you experience a breakthrough, and then you can move to the next level at each time. And so a lot of people think it's just about strategy, and I vehemently believe, and I teach this, is that the person you are now. So right now, I'm at multiple 7 figures. I don't mind sharing it. I bring a ton of value into people's lives. I'm starting a new way of doing things, and I believe that new way of doing things is going to bring the business to 8 figures. But so I'm doing all the internal work. I'm looking at my beliefs. I'm looking at my fears. I'm looking at my resistance. Like at that morning on the porch, I was in massive resistance, and I had a limiting belief about the fact that other people want to work in my company to teach my clients with me, even though they had their own business. The person I am now, and same with everybody listening here, the person you are now is not the person who will create those new results, that big growth, the increase in income and impact, until you shift on the inside, until you create new beliefs, you overcome the resistance, you create a new image of yourself, all the mindset work that's in this book, and then you move up. So it's going to take different, oh my God, I have so many stories I could tell you about, like the time when I told my mentor to go F himself because he was saying, you had a big breakdown. Congratulations. I'm like, you don't understand. I don't want to hear this right now. And he was just saying like, no, this is the big breakdown before the big breakthrough. You're on your way. And oh, so many dark nights of the soul. I just can imagine what people are thinking of me, snots and F words. But this is part of the fabric of humanity as an entrepreneur who is committed to mastery. And I don't mean mastery like you're becoming perfect, but to delve deeper in, how good can I have it? What does, if you believe in a higher power, what does the divine have in store for me? And who do I need to become on the inside to discover more and more of what my journey is supposed to look like? So who you are today is not who is going to create the bigger version of you. You need to do the internal work first. And that's why at Boldheart, everything we do will lead with a mindset first methodology. Mindset first methodology, because I could give you the strategy to get to 1 million right now, not you, but someone. If it's like, here's how you'll get to 7 figures in 9 months. But if you haven't looked at the stuff inside, you won't implement that.
You remind me, as you're talking about this, you remind me about the stories of athletes that I've read about, how for them to get to the next level, they actually have to break something. They have to relearn something. They have to stop doing, and they get worse in that transition phase. So that's why you don't get that constant up. And I think you're describing the same thing from a mindset point of view. You have to break a belief that you have about yourself, and in that, that's always uncomfortable. That's an uncomfortable moment.
It's not just uncomfortable, it is panic. It is total panic, because you have to let go. I talked about this on Instagram. I posted on Instagram about this 2 or 3 days ago. You can look for the post on Fabienne Fred or Facebook as well. But basically, you must let go of a trapeze rung to really have an uptick before you can grab the new trapeze rung. And that moment in between, where you're leaving your old paradigm and you haven't fully integrated into your new paradigm, your new belief system, your new way of being in the world, in midair, you feel like you're going to free fall. This is why I wasn't planning on talking about this, but a certain part of my work is to teach people how to have faith in the free fall. How to understand how the world works, how to believe bigger, to understand that you are never alone in between the 2 rungs. And this is why throughout this book, you'll see it's a lot about personal growth, and I'll just call it spiritual awareness, not religious. I'm not teaching any dogma. It's how do you put fear at bay when you have left one way of doing something and you haven't fully stepped in to the new. And when you have that, you have courage. I hope people write this down. Courage supported by faith. People aren't just courageous by nature. When they understand that there is a benevolent force, whatever that force looks like, you could call it God, you could call it universe, you could call it the all that is, you could call it your higher power, you could call it nature, you could call it goddess. It doesn't really matter what you call it. If you understand how the world works, and you understand that what you focus on manifests itself, and stop focusing on the fear and focus instead on the things on the next rung, that panic point diminishes, and you stay the course where most everybody will seek to avoid discomfort like the plague. They'll go back to bed, and the people who will end up being really successful will stay the course, saying just a little bit longer. What Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going, because it's almost over. Right? Yes, Gordon, absolutely. Mental awareness, mental strength. There's a great book called God Works Through Faith, even though, you may not be into that. There's a list of, I believe, 25 ways to increase your mental strength. And this is what gets you through people call it the terror barrier, the panic point. And on the other side of the panic point is everything you want as an entrepreneur. Everything. And that's what happens at every uptick. So, yes, I'm a business coach, but I'm also a spiritual awareness teacher, just because that's what's required, a personal growth leader, because that's what's required for you to stay the course, overcome resistance. And when you overcome resistance and do the thing that's in front of you, even if you don't feel like it, that's what successful people do. And then easy peasy. And as Napoleon Hill said, I believe in Think and Grow Rich, suddenly, and I'm slightly paraphrasing, suddenly riches begin to come in vast abundance, making you question where that abundance was during all those lean years. Then it's like Joseph Campbell's, you know, the doors will open where there were just walls before. That's what happens when you bring this belief, this conviction to fear, and you create things that astound all others.
Well, Fabienne, I think I could listen to you for another couple of hours, and but we got to move on because we've got that backstage conversation that's about to start. So I want to thank you for your generosity. I want to thank you for being so real with us, for talking about the snot coming out of your nose, and yeah, and once again, boldheart.com if you're interested in anything that Fabienne is doing. And I'm sure there's a link to the book there. If not, it's the leveragebusinessbook.com, I think. Somebody should put it in the chat. But once again, Fabienne, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to move on. I'm so excited about seeing you backstage. You've been listening and watching to another episode of moTV. This time we've been talking to Fabienne Fredrickson, and it's just been a phenomenal conversation. If you are a member of the Mo Mondays community, you could go to the backstage and have a private conversation. That's where I am heading to right now. Remember, almost every month, we interview another interesting, fascinating guest. And stay tuned for next month. Thank you very much. See you soon.